It's the Dodgy Reg podcast again with me, your host and story writer, Richard Foreman. This time, Richard gets a bee in his bonnet about Reg's propensity for withholding selected information. Stories called Of Secrets and Status. Sometimes I find I'm seriously wondering about Reg and his proximity to sanity. This, for example. I've been taking a walk in the woods, about a mile out of town, and I'm heading back along a tree-lined hollow way to the road back to town. To my left, beyond the high hedge, I hear the undulating roar of a tractor circling a ploughed field. It's October, and the first leaves have started to turn. The brightest reds and richest browns are catching my eye, so I'm tending to look up perhaps a little more than usual as I'm walking along the still firm mud of the pathway. What I'm not expecting to see to my right is, partially concealed among the leaves, the figure of a thin, wiry-looking man straddling a thick branch a few feet above the level of my head. What I'm not expecting to hear as I draw closer is an abrupt, "Hello, Rich. What brings you here, then?" Years of knowing Reg, and I can spot the pointed nature of the question, jovial but suspicious, and I'm careful how I answer. "I was out looking for a man in a tree. What do you think I was doing? I often take a walk along this track." "Oh, yes." His voice takes a more relaxed tone, and he pushes aside some leaves so I can see his scrawny, bearded face. "So you do. Hang on a minute and I'll be down." And I'm thinking, so you do. How do you know that? As Reg clambers with surprising agility to the top of the bank, from which his descent is somewhat less graceful. When he's regained balance and brushed off coat and trousers, I offer him a pointedly shocked expression. "All right, Reg, what the hell were you doing up there?" "I'm afraid I cannot divulge that information," he responds in a level tone. "I am not at liberty to do so. Sorry, Rich, you know, but there we are." "Oh, right. So I'm out for a walk. You appear perched up a tree, and I'm not supposed to expect any form of explanation whatsoever because I'm not privy. Reg, isn't this just some sort of game that you're playing to make yourself feel important?" I'm surprised myself by the degree of annoyance in my voice. I've been told I can get a bit narky sometimes. This must be an example. He responds earnestly enough to be credible. "You do understand, don't you? I let you know more than I do a good many acquaintances, but there's limits. I might suggest, though, that you would do well not to mention this meeting to anyone else you may encounter. It would be better that way. Thank you, Richard." I'm not sure how to take this curious, formal tone he's adopted. This is a new one on me, but so is the situation. Pure chance, as it was the first time we met. It's uncomfortable, but also it's intriguing me, his apparent sincerity. "Okay," I hear myself murmuring so slowly. Then I gabble. "Okay, Reg, well, all the best with whatever it is, eh? I must be getting on. Pieces to write, pints of milk to buy." Cheers then, Rich. Pints of milk, eh? He adds, eyeing me curiously. And as I walk away, I find myself wondering, have I just stumbled on some significant code words? Coffeeing it in my living room, I continue to ponder. Why? What could have possessed him to be doing as he did, whatever it was, halfway up a hedgerow tree? Did he have a sideline in tree climbing? Was he doing some form of extreme bird watching? Was it part of a supposed surveillance program he was undertaking? That would tally with his "don't mention it" request. But this sets me thinking about the nature of secrets and what their value is to those who seek or need to be secretive, or to those from whom the secret is kept. I think about the times that Reg has indicated or hinted that he is withholding information for the sake of my safety. Where are the values in that? Should I be grateful? I might be, if it wasn't for curiosity. I realise that I'm suffering from FOMO, fear of missing out. There's an itch there to know, to be let in on the secrets, a tantalising sense that those who do know are somehow of greater worth, and those who don't aren't. Is this a part of Dodgy Reg's world? It's quite strong, this coffee. On a pretext, I call on him and we meet again, as before, me with my back to the shaky railings on the tiny balcony, Reg in his first-floor doorway blinking in a shaft of sunlight. I give him back the book I'd borrowed, with a useful chapter containing some of the more bizarre theories on the Lockerbie bombing. And he looks at me, standing there, and I look at him. Eventually, I lower my eyebrows. "Come on in," he says. We take seats across the small kitchen table, backy-pack Rizzlers and lighter in front of him on its surface. He looks at me some more. "What's all this then, Rich?" "The things you don't tell me, Reg. Really, how seriously do you think I am endangered by my association with you? What risk would I be exposed to just by knowing some of the stuff you don't tell me?" "My friend, you already know the answers to both those questions. But I will tell you this. It's not only for your safety, it's your sanity." Outrage flushes through me. My sanity? Excuse me, my sanity? I swear he looks at me with pity. "This rather proves my point, doesn't it, Richard? You're already experiencing some doubt concerning this matter, are you not?" "What? My sanity, or your tendency to hang around on tree branches by countryside paths?" "Forgetfulness is the panacea you should seek, my friend. What you saw and what you think you saw are two different things. Just because you make one observation, that doesn't mean you see the whole picture." "Which is?" "Take it from me, you wouldn't want to know." I shrug my shoulders and look heavenwards with a sigh. "So it's a burden you've just got to bear on your own." "You can be as sarky as you like. My lips are sealed." As I walk homewards through empty, late afternoon shopping streets, I can still hear that tone in his voice that could have been the sound of sadness and regret, perhaps a feeling that we two had never met on equal terms. At any rate, there was a discomfort there, a sudden need to move swiftly on because there was some difficulty in the territory. all of which prodded me towards a gracious departure. I find myself considering that I might return to the spot on the path by the tree and look for any kind of evidence, or at least the possibility of evidence. I think of the tractor I heard in the field opposite his perch. Was the tractor's driver involved in some covert activity? Was there a driver at all? Perhaps it was some kind of AI-operated or remotely controlled device that just happened to sound like a modern-day tractor. Or a cover for something else, another more sinister sound that needed to be masked. Perhaps Reg was assembling equipment up there, some sort of monitor. Hang on! Who am I thinking about here? James Bond. This way, I could end up seriously wondering about me and my proximity to sanity. What is this thing that's got into me so deeply that I'm miffed? Is it to do with his earnest entreaty that I not mention what I'd seen to anyone? Which then becomes a sort of trickle-down secret that I get to keep, one more appropriate to my status in this hierarchy of redaction. Do I feel lowly, left out? Probably better not to buy into it in the first place. Maybe he just likes climbing trees and feels too embarrassed about it to say so. But then, how does he know how often it is that I walk that path? Thanks, Reg. This isn't going to let me go, is it? Catch this podcast next time when we receive an object lesson from Dodgy Reg concerning how to present and package your deepest suspicions in a story called The Fungal Entity Theory.